Hi and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sven and this is Sven's Bricks. I'm going to show you a glimpse of what it can really be like when you own a Lego room. Something that other YouTubers perhaps don't show you, because Lego is undeniably messy. So I'm going to show you what it currently looks like in here. And then I'm going to clean things up a little, tidy things up, rearrange things a little bit, and show you then what it looks like afterwards. But I think it's important to expose also how much time is spent cleaning and tidying and dusting. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. So as you can see, the city is kind of trashed and there's boxes more or less everywhere. As I've said in a previous video, I think the important thing for me is to not let it disturb the creative process. So for me, it's important that when you're in the creative mode, that you don't interrupt that in order to clean and sort. You can see my Countach mock here has got Deadpool in it, and the windscreen's missing, spoilers hanging off it, Batman's lying around, there's a plane here, there's an unfinished modification there. Yeah, a build from one of my kids perhaps? Nope, that is actually a stand for the iPhone that I was using to film my previous video. My desk is a state. There is an Ninjago robot lying face down with no arms, a boat that's smashed in the floor and I haven't rebuilt, Speed Champions box, figures that are to be placed out in the city. The city at the back looks fine because no one can really reach it, so that's all right. But there's a plane in the middle of the road, and then there's pieces and small builds that my children have been either playing with or building themselves. And yeah, just generally things are a little bit chaotic. To be honest, it can get a lot worse than this. And then over in the corner here is my setup before I did my last video. So yeah, I'm going to do a little tidy up here. And then we'll have a quick look around. Much better. This room has been pretty messy for 2 or 3 weeks now, so to have it nice and tidy like this is really, really nice. And I plan on trying to keep it like this for as long as possible now. So I thought that considering that I've tidied things up, I'll show you a little look around. The room is fairly new to me, which is why a lot of what you will see is not complete or looks as though it's been placed a bit oddly. Why there's big gaps in the layout like this, or over here. This is extremely work in progress. I had a much smaller room than this, about 60% of the size. So I actually moved the whole city and all of the Lego to this room, and I'm kind of experimenting with the layout because once you kind of make a few decisions on how the city layout is going to be, it's difficult or at least time consuming and frustrating to have to redo it. So I'm kind of living with the layout a bit currently as it is. As you can see, I've got beach on one side and beach on the other side. I'm not sure that will stay like that, but this is the way that it was in the old room. But I need to find a way to make that work with the new table space. So that's why it is like this, basically for me to live with it for a little bit and see how my thoughts develop around it, how my feelings develop around it before I make changes, but also waiting for that moment when inspiration strikes to actually do some work on it. I've not felt like working on the beach recently, which is why it looks the way it does, but you can see that once upon a time it looks pretty nice, but it does need a good seeing to in order to get it back into shape. So yeah, at the back here we've got a couple of mocks that I've done at the police station and the fire station. They're not complete, but they are pretty close. There's not much interior to them is the biggest issue, and on the top here it's pretty messy. But I will get around to that one day, and I'm quite happy with the way at least the police station showed it turned out. And the fire station, I think, probably needs another go on it in order to give it a bit more interest. But I like the tall door that I made for it. Gives it some nice height. but I think this is a bit plain around here. I will eventually modify the Friends Hospital as well. And then at the back there I've got all of my Ninjago City. So I've added water to go all the way up the road here. And then at the back here I have my own Ninjago City custom build, which originally sat on the side of the original Ninjago City, so that's set in the middle of the screen now. So at first it was just these two before the docks was even released, but now that the gardens have been added as well, I find it tricky to add it to the layout. At least in the current configuration, there's not really a way for me to add that to the layout because it's kind of an end piece. So at the moment I've kind of got it sat there, which perhaps looks a little bit odd, but I was sort of thinking maybe building something else here a bit taller as well, which will add a bit to the occasion. But I've also heard rumours that there's a final, or at least a fourth set coming, albeit a smaller one. So I think I will wait until that set materializes so that I don't end up wanting to change things again once that set comes out. So yeah, but in the middle here I've got a little food area which I've started to work on. It's got a little cafe at the bottom, which is modified from the Friends set. And then above that there's a little hairdresser. Oh, it looks like the mirror has actually fallen down there, but that one does have interior detail. And then I've used the City Pizza. Then I've used the City Pizzeria and modified that, added an extra level to it and made it double the size. And then I've also squished in the hamburger restaurant in the middle there. Wasn't much modification needed really. But then I've also adapted a classic old post office set. So I've added a couple of stories to that to give it a bit more size. I quite like the way that turned out. It's nice and classic looking. But the idea will be that this will be a bit of a built up area. And then over here, I was thinking of having a few more residential houses. So at the moment it's a bit cramped and the houses don't really work very well together, but that's probably where I will have some residential houses. And then over here is a mock that I've started, a petrol station mock that I've started. So you can see that the Speed Champions are out in force at the moment. It's kind of the theme of the month with the new series released. And then over here we've got some classic castle stuff and some small builds that my kids have been working on, and then a large number of sorted or relatively sorted bricks. I personally sort by part. I find it quicker and easier to find parts if I sorted by part. It's more time consuming to sort them that way, but it's definitely worth it when it comes to building. It really allows the creative process to move on quickly. So yeah, these could be sorted even further down than they have by colour and so on, but I've got the 3x bricks there and the ones at the back, and then I've got 1x2 bricks here and the textured bricks on the right hand side. So this just gives you a quick idea. I won't go through every single drawer, but it gives you a quick idea of how I sort. So I tend to then keep longer than 4 1x bricks all in one drawer, arch pieces, sort of fuselage pieces for planes and spacecrafts, and then panels, and then larger, more structural elements. That's actually a colour drawer, that one, that needs to be pulled out. We've got some round pieces. Found a nice box to keep that up sorted, and there's another colour drawer that needs to be pulled out. I've got a couple of drawers of 2x plates and a couple of drawers of 1x plates. So it's actually very quick and easy to find what I'm looking for, sorting this way, and it doesn't involve too much sorting. So I've got the slopes slightly more split up because I found it difficult to find when they were all mixed up. So I've got 1x2 slopes, or larger than 1x2 slopes actually at the front there, and then I've got the inverted ones at the back, and then the same sort of thing with the smaller 1x slopes here, and inverted ones, and then at the back the taller slopes, and then I've got some more unusual ones sorted a bit more finely here. And I've got all kinds of car parts, particularly vehicle parts, I like having this all in the same drawer because you kind of find different things as you build. And I've got a spare drawer into there, and then I've got larger plates, and these go up in size to the smallest ones at the top, and then plates with curves and rounded pieces. And then my favourite drawer, the plant drawer, or the natural vegetation drawer, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I like that one. When it comes to sorting in general, I think the most important thing is that you can find what you're looking for. So it doesn't matter how you sort, as long as you yourself can find it. I see a lot of people asking, how do you sort in different forums? And the truth is, as long as you can find it, then it's sorted well, right? So do what works for you. This is what works for me. And you can see that this box here is mixed Lego. And I think as I've said in another video, I recommend having a box like that open so that you can quickly throw stuff into it when you don't want it around. And then once that gets full, or once you feel like you have the energy, you then sort that out into the other Lego. But for me, that's absolutely vital to have a box that you just chuck stuff into, so that you don't need to get caught up with putting things back where they came all the time and slowing the creative process down. So I would strongly recommend that you have that. And whilst we're on that subject, also try and get hold of some empty boxes like this. Ice cream tubs would work well. I'm actually using sweet boxes from Pick and Mix Sweets that they use here in Sweden. And I don't tend to use these for storage, I tend to use them for sorting. So actually here at the moment is a sorting project on minifigures that I'm doing. But once they're finished, I will not only build up a lot of figures, but I will also then permanently store them in their rightful homes, which are these boxes with lids. So to free these back up again. But I find that I constantly need to do small bits of sorting, and then these are really, really, really helpful. So down here I've got some plates, and I've got huge, this is my minifigure storage here. So this is where I've got my heads and my accessories and more accessories. And then as you saw, all the bodies are up there. And then in here we've got lots of specialised pieces. So there's 4 trays in there of specialised pieces. And then in this bin we have all the really, really oversized pieces. Stuff that doesn't really fit anywhere else. And then moving up here, I've got some of my display shelves, which I change out fairly regularly. The Ghostbusters cars were downstairs in a display cabinet, but I've moved them up for the video a couple of weeks ago, and I think they look pretty nice here next to the Batmobile. You'll notice that I have the Playmobil DeLorean here on display, but it's kind of just a placeholder until I get my hands on the large 18+ set. Here we have small storage drawers for all of the really tiny pieces. If you ask me, this is really, really worth doing as well. It's quite often that you need a specific small piece, and it really, really helps to have them sorted like this. Again, very time consuming, but for me, very worthwhile. And a nice way to do this is to put a little bit of blue tack or white tack on the drawer, and then just attach the piece on the outside. Very easy to then detach the piece if you want to, and reuse the drawer for something else, but also very much easier to see what's in the drawer than labeling them. You can see I've started this not too long ago actually, just all of my printed pieces. I've got a lot more than that, but I haven't put them all on there yet. And then I have my minifigure displays. So these are just some of them, my minifigures, but my favourite superheroes. And then comic book characters, some of the explorers, and some warriors. And these display shelves were actually made by my sister, who managed to salvage them from an old drawer unit and then stuck the Lego tape on, or the unofficial Lego tape, onto them in order to be able to just put the figures straight on. So it worked really, really nicely. And then at the top there is a clock made by my best friend. and yeah, it needs a few more hour markers, but it works very well, and I get a lot of comments on that. Finally, I'll give you a little peek of what's under the tables. And here I have a couple of my Ecto 1s that I built for my kids, that I rescued from their mixed Lego before they got completely dismantled. I built those out of my spare parts, and it took a lot of time, so I don't want them disappearing into their spare parts, otherwise I'll never find them again. Underneath that is a box of mixed Lego which needs sorting, mainly bricks, and then at the bottom there's a bunch of sets that either need to be stored away or brought out. There's some more mixed Lego that needs sorting, and another box with sets, completed sets, which are in storage really at the moment. And at the back there's some colour sorted Lego that I need to get round to sorting by brick at some point. And here we have a big plane which I probably will hang from the ceiling at some point, because I have no space for that in the city. It's just huge. I also have the Fort Legorido cowboy western set, which I absolutely love. I've also got some of the other western sets which are also in that box, and I can show you at some point a little cowboy display that I'm able to put together with that. A few more sets in the box underneath there. A few more sets in this little box, and at the back there I have a filing cabinet for all of the instructions. So thanks for watching. I'm aware that I'm not the only person on YouTube with a Lego city, so I didn't want to go into too much detail here today. I just wanted to give a bit of insight into what I get up to, in case there's anything you'd like to see more of a close-up of. So drop me a comment if there is. Otherwise I will continue making videos and hope that we continue to get views. I think it's interesting at least to show a little bit of the tidying and the sorting that's involved when it comes to Lego. It is, for me, probably at least 50% of the time that I spend with Lego is tidying and sorting, redisplaying, dusting. And I think that's really essential in order to keep the building process as clean as possible and to keep it fun and inspiring and motivating to build. So now that my room is nice and clean again, I feel inspired to build. I'm not sure where I will go next. Thanks for watching. Drop me a like, hit subscribe. See you again.